Welcome to NeedleXChange, conversations on the art of thread. My name's Jamie Chalmers, aka Mr. X-Stitch, and this week I am back with the second part of my conversation with the brilliant textile artist Fuzzy Moore. In this calf, we dig deeper into Fuzzy's ideas on playfulness, joy, and the analog rebellion against our doom-scrolling digital age. Oh yes. He talks about transforming old portraits into new works, experimenting with analog AI, and why his chaotic reclaimed studio piles are part of the creative process. You'll also hear about Fuzzy's music obsessions and how curating soundtracks for a brewery fuels his stitching sessions. If you're intrigued by artists who mix textile art with big ideas, you might also like my NeedleXChange with Andrew Crummy, the lead designer of the Great Tapestry of Scotland. You'll find that in the NeedleXChange archives in episodes 69 and 70. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy the podcast. If you're able to leave a review, that would be marvelous. It brings a little bit of joy into my life. I'll be back next week with somebody else from another part of the embroidered universe. So until then, enjoy the show. And that's so. Do you find that the human form is enough for you to be like? There's enough to explore. Like doing portraits, doing these kind of scales, do you feel like that's a sweet spot that's got lots of room to maneuver in it for you? Or do you find you're yearning to do a desert island or a biplane or something?
I mean, I'm still interested in the human form, but also I just can use it as the structure for the next idea as well and playing around. So, like I had mentioned, like that Kill Your Darlings, where I was like cutting up pieces, like all of my work is fair game at this point throughout my career. I'm allowing myself to like go back and cut into things and express new ideas that, you know, that form, that person might just kind of carry some weight to it. But yeah, I don't know. My reward for finishing a piece is to get to the next idea. So,
because then you did the digital, the masks. There, I knew it was there in my head somewhere. The mask series. So I guess in some ways there, you're also adding a layer of like digital manipulation into the construction as well, and kind of playing with dimension and kind of teasing things out in a different direction.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, the masking project, it was like kind of towards the end of COVID, and like I was thinking about, you know, obviously we're all wearing masks. If we were going to be like wanting to see people with or without masks at any point. So that was kind of in the back of my head. And then I wanted to play around. So I was just kind of experimenting with like digital, emotional, and physical masks. So I was thinking about physical masking and like camouflage came to mind. So I did a portrait of Janine Heschel, another textile artist.
Mm-hmm.
And she does like thread painting of endangered species. So I want to play with the animal and camouflage and octopus. So I made a giant invisible octopus that's wrapping around her head for the second. So there was there's like part one, and then part two was like a manipulation. And another one, I did a person in and out of drag, and it was two-sided. So it was kind of like physical and emotional masking, creating a whole new person. And then those were like sewn together and then cut and woven on each side, inside out. So part of like for easier sake, like the male version and the female version were like intertwined. Like the female was on the front side of the male and vice versa. And then I played around another one with digital masking and like catfishing, the idea of like, you know, using the different filters of that to change your face. So I did a portrait of a buddy of mine his name was Fish, literally his nickname. So, and he was like 70 years old, did his portrait and then ran it through all the filters in the same photo. And it made him look like he was like 25. And then I'd set that on like a remote control. So you'd hit a button and like the younger one version would come down in front of the older one, like the face changing app.
Yeah. It's really clever because again, it's playing with the form as much as it is the content, isn't it? It's that thing. It sort of reminds me a bit of that Banksy piece where the minute it was sold, it went through a shredder. It's almost like you've got these little surprises going on, other ways of like adding extra layers to the story without it just being applique layers. Although, you did that. You did do it with, is it Miss Moko? Was that what it's called?
Yeah. So that was the drag queen.
Yeah. So you got the backwards and the forwards, and that's a way of telling several stories within the same kind of constraints, isn't it? And then when you've got pieces coming down, it's the same kind of thing as well. It's like just more than them just being flat images, you're still every now and again just going, right, take a step in that direction, kind of feel it out.
Yeah, and then I'm playing around with like the idea of AI now as well in this current body of work that I'm doing. But I'm calling it analog AI. So the idea is like the basic principle of AI, right? Like when you like constrain it down to its simple, it's like scouring the internet to find like billions of data points and create a new image out of it, right?
Mm.
So my idea was taking one of my quilts and then I'm punching in grommets on the edges, around the perimeters and inside, and then just hanging them from random points on the walls. So that I'm creating like a 3D, like I'm creating the volume and it's the image abstracts underneath it with every time I change the point or hang it on a different spot.
So rather than hanging it flat, you're allowing it to fold and transform. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But then, so then I'm taking photos of that and then doing new flattened versions of these volumetric pieces, like style. So then I have like this volumetric piece and then a flat one right next to it, and they look the same.
Yeah.
Define new forms.
Yeah. Because I remember when I first saw one of your pieces, and I think you were lying on the ground next to it. So I think there's a child, isn't there? There was quite a big piece. Is he on a swing? All right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the kids.
Yeah. And you were lying down next to it, and it really just reminded me of like lenticular art, you know? The way images are stretched. I always think there's this Steel Eye Span album that we used to have, and it was like the image is really stretched, but if you angle the record in the right way, suddenly the image comes together because that was the way it was designed. And sometimes you see it when they do art illusions on the floor, the image is stretched, but if you look at it at the right angle, suddenly the proportions kick in. And it sometimes that was one of the things at first I felt like you were doing that with your work because I misunderstood because you kind of weren't, but at the same time, the scale of it all.
Yeah. When I jumped to that scale, I was kind of worried that it was going to look like that. Because I hadn't gone that large yet, so I wasn't sure exactly if it was going to work until I hung it.
But it feels like that's the sort of an arena that you're probably heading, like you say with these pieces, the fact that you can take a flat piece, crumble it to make a three-dimensional piece, make a flat version of that piece. It almost feels like you're starting in this direction that is going to just become more optical illusion or more kind of like mind bending as you go down that road.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. At least right now. That's the current thinking. But we'll see what next year brings.
Yeah. But still, yeah, no, it's really clever. Like I don't know. I take my hat off to you. I think the work's so lovely and it's so clever, and then it's so flipping massive. I just think it's do you like what do you do with the pieces that you haven't like sold, or do you roll them up? Do you just
Yeah, I got a bunch rolled up and just hanging out in my house. If anyone for me, let me know.
yeah, if anybody's listening who's got a really big wall or two, they just want to put some pieces up there. And then, I mean, are there particular artists that inspire you? They're textile artists that inspire you?
Not necessarily textile artists. I try to not look. I don't want to be influenced by other people. But like my studio's full of books and influences that I have absorbed over the years. But yeah, some of my favorite painters are like Robert Kushner and Wayne Thiebaud, and I love like Betty Woodman ceramics, contemporary ceramics, and Isnik artwork, and I don't know, I'm all over the place with what I look at and absorb, but I'm trying to stay on my own path as well, as true to it as I can. So I don't know, I'm very deliberate with what I look at or don't.
Yeah, reasonable. Just trying to kind of keep your vision the way it's naturally unfolding rather than feel a bit. whimsically taken. But it's so, it's kind of, to me, it's like, it's weird. It's like stuff I've seen before, but it's stuff I've never seen before, if that makes sense. There's definitely a fuzzy style. There's a fuzziness about it all.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is because the way I have developed and like just taught myself and like kind of been true to that and created my own kind of sense of style within that way of making.
Mm. Do you still do painting?
I haven't for probably close to 10 years now.
Right.
We'll see. It's always kind of in the back pocket. I can see where they might merge at some point, but I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying just kind of staying in this textile world.
Mm.
I did one album cover where it was going to work. I did a painted over top of a portrait of a guy. But,
right. And you don't, I mean, do you ever feel like there might be any other mixed media or anything like that? Like, would you ever do like, I don't know, stick a bit of paper and card in there, try and blow up in different directions?
Yeah, I would imagine it will happen at some point. When I was painting, I wouldn't necessarily go the art store and buy paint. I go to the hardware store and find like roofing tar or polyurethanes, and then glitter and flocking, and I was like sewing together wallpaper and embroidering on it, and then like putting that and painting over that. So there's like a truth to materials and a reason for the materials to be in there. So if it makes sense within what I want to say, I'd be able to doing it. I have I got some ideas cooking. I just don't want to release them all right now.
I mean, is that a thing? Is there a certain, like, do you have lots of ideas lined up in a list, or do you kind of just, your one project, you get that done, then next? I mean, you've done series, so I feel like you're probably a bit of a series kind of person.
Yeah, I always work in series. So, like I said, like the reward to finish off the series is to get to the next series and the next idea. Because I have a lot of ideas. I just my work's so time consuming that sometimes the series isn't great because it holds me back too much. But it also allows me to flesh out the idea and kind of like I tend to know, I have a feeling of like when that idea is good, I have it like down, I can move on. So I try not to rush too much because I don't know. I have to have some kind of restraint in my head a little bit.
And then
rules.
There's a finished piece, like because if you're doing initial sketches, do you know when the piece is done? You can go, right, I've achieved that bit. You can kind of get a sense of the end point right at the start.
Yeah. Right now, like, because I'm tended to just work off of the photos, then I normally when I'm done, when I think I'm done with a piece, I go back actually to Janine Heschel.
Mm-hmm.
I think of her work. I think all the detail in there, and like I let her kind of push me a little bit. I don't know if she even knows that, but once I finish a piece, it's on the wall before I start sewing it. I'll sit there and just kind of stare at it for like, I'll just spend like one studio night, like a couple hours, and just like really examine what, like, if there's any like difference between what I have and like the actual photo, and just like scour and critically look for more details to throw in there. So I can like catch up to Janine.
It sort of reminds me, someone once did a joke once about like some of the great classical composers who were just like, right, this next piece that I make, I'm just going to make it really, really, really difficult. It's almost like that was their whole thing. It almost feels like what you're saying there is you're just like, right, so this is good. I need to make it like really.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just challenging with myself. So.
There'll be a thing inside a thing. It reminds me, I like model villages when you go and see those. And my favorite thing is when you've got a model village that's got a model village inside it. And ideally, that model village has got a model village inside it. Do you know what I mean? It's just like in and in and in. I love that. Oh, God, what was that? I was going to say.
A man needs a hobby.
A man does need a hobby. Do you have any hobbies other than this? Or is this all consuming?
That's time consuming.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. And I don't imagine you probably can't, like from a volume perspective, you probably can't have too many concurrent pieces on the go at the same time, just from wrangling it all.
Yeah, no, I normally try my best to finish a piece once I start it. At least have it pieced down and like
Right.
in the sewing process where, because I'm using like little scraps of paper that they would just get lost, and it's the best way I can kind of keep myself organized is just by finishing.
Mm. When you're working, do you listen to music? You work in silence? Is it just the sound of the sewing machine?
No, I always have some kind of sound going, whether it's like music or podcasts. Most of the time when I'm in the studio, I'm just ripping through streaming like TV, and I don't know. I just consume so much content because it'll be like 16-hour studio day. That's like 2 Netflix series in like one afternoon. So yeah, just constantly going through stuff.
I'm doing a smooth segue here, in case you hadn't guessed, into
Yeah, catching it.
silky smooth, silky smooth. Let's talk about what was the last good Netflix thing that you ripped through? What was the last good TV show you saw?
Oh, I don't even remember like names of things. I just go through them so fast. I watched like 3 shows like 2 days ago. What were they? I don't know. Just honestly, anything like nothing specific. It's just like,
Is it useful to have stuff that you don't really have to pay a lot of attention? Like, do you watch like garbage? Like sometimes if I was making a magazine, I'd watch like Ink Master or something. I just want something on, but something I really don't have to give a lot of attention to.
yeah. I'll just like go through like old like I don't know like I'm watching like Love Island, but then I'll watch like there's just like always something like I got to fill my time with things. I used to be a mailman, and so I would have to go through like 8 hours of podcasts every day. Like this was before podcasts were really even a thing. So I'm good at finding the noise.
Because I was going to ask you about that, because like I applied to be a postman at one point and thought it'd be an interesting job because it's quite active in that. But actually, when you stop and think about it, when back in the day, like when we didn't have smartphones, because I'd imagine, are you allowed to just listen to stuff all the time when you're mailmanning?
We weren't supposed to, but I was a really good employee, so they just let me do it.
It's really personable.
So they just let me do my thing.
So I'd imagine, a lot of the time, back in the day, I suppose you talk to people and all that kind of stuff. How long were you a mailman for?
About 10 years.
Right. Is it a good job?
For the most part, yeah, it can be a grind for sure. It's physically and mentally draining. But you didn't really, I don't know, I wouldn't carry it home with me. I would just, it ends at the office. But there's always more stuff the next day. So.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You're like, oh, good.
Good and bad.
Is the idea of seductive housewife, is that just a fantasy? Like turning up on the door, you get your flirty neighbours.
Yeah, I didn't encounter any of that.
I used to be a delivery driver as well, and I'm like, these 1970s British films are just all wrong about that stuff. This is incredibly mundane. Like the hottest person I've seen lately was a man who'd spilled curry on himself. It's just like, it's not what I want to know. It's like, So do you have like a favorite film or anything like that? Is there a favorite TV show, or are there too many to mention now?
Oh yeah, too many to mention. Favorite film, I would say my favorite movie is probably Amelie.
Okay.
But then the movie I've seen the most, I would say, is The Big Lebowski.
Interesting.
It's a Father's Day tradition we have in our house. We watch it every year at least once. So.
What's the earliest age you could watch? Because I haven't watched that in a long time, but I feel like the content, I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. I feel like the content might be a bit too fruity for them just now.
Yeah, I don't know. We were kind of loose with what we shared with our kid.
That's why she's a genius.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. My kid was like a TARDIS for like Dr. TARDIS for Halloween, like when they were like 5. So
amazing.
They're always kind of like a little ahead of the game.
Who's your favorite Doctor Who?
Probably David Tennant for me.
Is he like the sweet spot? Was he the one that like was the right Doctor at the right time, sort of thing?
Probably, yeah. I didn't grow up with it. Like I only kind of came in on this like the newer section.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with like the big scarf.
Yeah. So I think because obviously it's a UK thing. So when I was growing up, like I think Tom Baker was my first one, and he was a very strange one. And then there was Peter Davidson, who was like the one with all the cricket jumpers. He was very nice. So in a way, when eventually it gets round to you, David Tennant's, I kind of preferred Matt Smith because he's a little bit more boffiny. But
Yeah. That would probably be my number two that I had. But
yeah, do you still watch it?
I haven't for a while. I've kind of lost
Same.
not interest, but just
Same.
haven't really got into it.
These things, I sometimes struggle as well. Like when I was a kid growing up, I used to read comic books, and I still kind of do. But it's funny to just find I don't know, your taste change when you're older. I think it's what I'm paraphrasing here, to be honest, Fuzzy. But it's funny how you can just fade in and out of these things, can't you? And you never think you will. I always thought I'd love all the superhero films, and now I can't be bothered because there's just so blinking many of them.
You just replace it with something else and then go back.
I think so. Mine's a lot of Bluey at the moment because of the age of my children, and just genuinely, you don't have Bluey because your child is too old, so you won't have just binge watch that for a day, and you'll be like the most joyful day. It's only 150 episodes.
I know Blue. I'm a bartender by day, so I have a lot of COVID babies in the brewery that live on Bluey while their parents are having beers with me.
Bless them. That's good. Do you mostly listen to like TV shows when you're working, or do you listen to music as well? And therefore, what kind of music do you listen to? And therefore, do you have a favorite band?
Yeah, so music was always important in my just childhood. From time I was earliest memories, me and my dad would play top that song in his record collection, and he would play something. I'd have to have something better by the time it was over. So we were just DJ,
nice.
Competitions.
How old were you when you were doing that?
I was probably 3 or 4.
God damn, that's great.
And then he'd always said, he's like, oh, whenever you get your own place, you can have my records. And I'm like, he's never going to give me his records. So when I was about 19 or 20, I just started collecting my own, and then purposely trying not to buy up what he had. Just in case. But then when he finally did, I took his collection and I just absorbed it. I didn't even notice anything. It's oh, I thought this was big at that point, but I know 4,000 LPs upstairs. So I'm always digging through a lot of music. I'm always searching. I think my Spotify end of year thing has said I've discovered 2,500 new artists the last 4 or 5 years running. And like I said, at the bar, the brewery I work with, I'm in charge of all the music. So I try to make a 2 or 3 hour playlist every week, something new of all new stuff, keeping the vibes. So that being said, I'm not going to be able to say just one band.
That's fine.
It seems like you're not too strict on it, but I got a couple categories here for you.
Go on.
Just loosely. Favorite voice, Nina Simone. The band I've listened to the most in my life, Grateful Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Consistent at any point, top 5 records that kind of always live in there. The White Album. My daughter's middle name is Blackbird.
Oh, nice.
Sam Cooke, Live at Harlem Square. Radiohead, Kid A. Those are always kind of live in there.
It sounds like a pretty healthy mix. It sounds like we could have a fine time. Did the people in the bar realize that you're curating music for them, or do they pay it no attention?
Oh no, they know.
I tell them.
Well, people ask me constantly, who's doing the music, and where are these public playlists, and where can I find them? Remember, I had this guy in there. He's probably in his 80s, and he's always Shazamming what I've been playing. He's like, I come here because now my grandkids think I'm so cool because I pass them all this music.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. I like a good compilation album. That seems to be the thing I'm into at the moment on vinyl. There's a couple of series. There's one I really like that's called Late Night Tales, and they seem to have quite interesting people choosing the music. And sometimes it's a bit kind of spoken word and stuff. It doesn't always hit the mark, but there's that. And there's another series called Back to Mind, which again is kind of curated by people. I recently got one that was curated by Fatboy Slim. And it's just the music that they like, you know what I mean? So sometimes you do get those outliers that you didn't know you like. And to me, that's deeply satisfying now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I love finding new stuff all the time. A band that everyone should listen to that will just kind of like epitomize what I love about music that no one really knows. They're called the Flommer Dance Band.
Spell it, please.
FLAMMER Dance Band. They're like this little Norwegian band that I found. I don't know, somehow they came through my algorithm. I remember like last spring, I was walking home from the bar like 2 a.m. through the forest and had that album on, and I just started dancing my whole way home. And then in the morning, I'm like, wanted to show my wife and daughter. I like YouTubed them to see if they had any videos, and they were just so infectious and joyful that we wanted to just like drop out of society and go to Norway to like become friends. But like I'd mentioned, when I went to see Ian last fall, part of it was to see Ian, and part of it is because the Flommer Dance Band was playing a gig in London. So me and my buddy like kind of made it happen and like flew out there, just like kind of double dip. But super fun band.
Yeah, I struggle because it's like I don't know. I like to think I'm in charge of the music in my house. I don't think I've nowhere near as many albums as you, but I'm always putting records on around the breakfast table. My wife is much more Arctic Monkeys, Green Day, Blink 182, all of that kind of stuff is her territory. And what annoys me is when she puts that music on, the kids much prefer it to the funk that I'm trying to put in their area. I'm just hoping it'll all program in there, and somewhere down the line they'll realise that I had some all right taste or something. It's just like, damn.
Oh yeah, it'll get in there.
I love that that record thing though. That's such a great, because the thing we were talking about the other day, we were just talking about how it might be quite nice to buy the girls some CDs, because the physical act of giving them music like would have some value, because otherwise it's just all on tap. And I don't particularly Spotify or anything like that, but it's all just there. And then you think, actually, if we give them these CDs and a CD player, maybe it will just have a bit more like tangible worth or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember like my first record I got got Pet Sounds for my 4th birthday, and I got that for my daughter for her 4th birthday too. Just like,
yeah, there's a tradition, right?
Because you have unlimited access to everything, no one knows how to curate it either. Like it's all there, but if you don't actually.
No, but that's what I mean. That's why I like compilations, because I'd rather like find somebody who I know. There's an album, a record label called Mr. Bongo, and they do the Mr. Bongo Record Club albums, and they're fantastic. It's like, I'll just buy them when they come out, because that's such a good shorthand to like listening to good music I've never heard. Same as kind of like quite a few YouTube channels. There's one I like called My Analog Journal, and they have a lot of people playing a lot of different genres of vinyl music or whatever. It's just always, don't know what you like until you listen to something brand new, right? Book recommendations. You read much?
I don't read as much as I would like to. When I'm reading, I'm thinking, oh, I should be in the studio. My house is full of books. Like, I do read from time to time, but favorite ones, my favorite like fiction authors, Haruki Murakami, Japanese writer. I think I've read most of his stuff. Nonfiction, my favorite book would be Say Nothing, which was about the Troubles.
Okay.
I read a couple years ago. I fucking loved it. And then my favorite art book in my studio is Savage Beauty. It's the Alexander McQueen retrospective that LA Museum put out a couple years ago, which is absolutely fantastic.
What is there a good art scene round your way in? Oh, hello. Okay.
This is a really nice for textile artists as well.
Fabric of Civilization. Yeah, have you got much of a local art scene in Hamilton? Hamilton's quite a big town, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big, and then Toronto's down the street too. Not too far. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I often say like I'm an artist in Hamilton, but I'm not a Hamilton artist. I feel like the scene there can be a little incestuous, and I'm just not quite a relative, I guess, for better or worse.
Do you say about or a boot?
About still, I think.
Okay, so they won't let you in, will they? Unless you
Yeah,
presumably.
I shunned myself. Yeah, no, I'm just kind of making my work. Like I said, I can't. There's not always walls big enough for me. So.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Have you got? Yeah, is there enough? Like, say if someone said, "Right, I've got a 7-story building, and you're welcome to put something on the outside of it," would you be like, "Yep, all right, bring it on"?
Yeah, bring it on, please.
Right, I'm going to find a
I haven't
7-story
done
building.
it before, but I'll figure it out.
I wanted to ask you. I'd want to ask if there's an interesting fact that not a lot of people know about you, but I also wanted to just talk about Wordle. Just because I think, do you Wordle? You Wordle, don't you?
Yeah, I have from time to time. I'm guessing you're seeing that one post that I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how. Probably 4 months ago, maybe.
Right.
My opening word was quilt, and then my second guess, which was correct, was fuzzy.
And you're like, oh. I only discovered it. Go on.
I kind of stopped after that. I'm like, for a little while. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right,
that's it. I'm done. Can't get better than that. I've only, no, I got into it approximately 95 days ago, according to my streak or whatever. I really enjoy it for some reason. It's one of those things where I was just, I really like this because I really like logic problems, and then I quite like wordplay at the same time. Whatever. But do you know what it reminds me of? This is unrelated, but we went for a walk along the canal about 2 years ago now, and I've got a daughter called Flora and I've got a daughter called Annie. And one day, we walked along the canal and this boat came along, this narrow boat, and it was called Flora. And we were like, oh, amazing, look at that. What are the chances of that? Took a picture of Flora outside. And we were like, wouldn't it be funny if then we saw a boat called Annie? Shit you not. The next boat that came along was called Annie, completely unrelated. Spent the rest of the day just with my head in my hands going, what's going on in the world? Is this just an illusion? I don't really understand.
You're on the right path.
Yeah, don't you just? You know what I mean? You just like, there's a gift from the gods. That's fantastic. Is there a fact that not a lot of people know about you?
There's some, yeah. So when I was a kid, at that right age where like I was probably like 5 when I saw like the Karate Kid in the theaters. So I wanted to do it. So my parents had signed me up, and it was in Taekwondo like the next day. And then all of a sudden I was in the dojo like 5 days a week, every day. And then I was like getting my black belts and winning national championships in the States.
Wow.
So I was like very good at that. But then I stopped because I wanted to like, play baseball and be a regular kid instead of like a death machine. But so yeah, that's a random fact.
Is that why you have that strange seating style that you mentioned before? Because you've never really realised, but
it's like it now. Like, yeah.
Can that protect you from attackers? Because you can just immediately spring into action or something.
Yeah, I can still do splits.
Shit, that's amazing. Is it? I mean, does it stick with you? Is that like, if pushed, like, presumably you could still look after yourself because you got muscle memory and all that sort of stuff, right?
I think so, but I'm also a pacifist, so I don't really test it.
Yeah. It's a long, but that's what you learn, isn't it? I kind of wanted to learn Aikido, and half the thing was going, I'm going to give you a load of skills that you're going to encourage people to not, don't test me, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's probably, it's definitely influenced some things. I still have fast reflexes and that, but I don't know.
An incredible tolerance for pain.
It's been a long time.
That's amazing.
Another random fact is I had a brain hemorrhage a couple of years ago, and I survived.
Yeah, okay. What's that like?
It was, I don't know. It was just all of a sudden a crazy, massive headache, like worst pain ever. And then went to the hospital and woke up, severely sedated. I don't know. I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks, but I had the good one, they said. So.
And is that when like a blood vessel bursts in your brain? Is it that sort of thing?
Yeah. I had like a little leak. It was so.
God.
Yeah, the key for it, if you're going to survive, is to not Google brain hemorrhage while you're in the hospital for at least. Because I was in there making jokes, and like, and everyone's kind of like, "What's going on with this guy?" And then I realized, 3 days later, I'm like, "Okay, how bad was this?" And it's like, um, a quarter of the people die within 24 hours. The other quarter die within 48 hours. I'm like, "Oh, all right, we're at 72." Start joking again.
Did you? Yeah, it might. Like I broke my ankle once. Obviously, nowhere near on the same level or whatever. But what was weird was like when I was in the hospital. Got taken to hospital and doing all the plaster. In the end, I think they had to knock me out and put a metal plate in my leg and all those sort of things. But I remember being like ridiculously optimistic about it, like ridiculously positive, and consequently never seemed to need any pain medication. Like the whole way through, even though they operated on it, like I didn't after the fact have any pain in it. I kind of regret it because there was a guy in the bed next to me who was getting morphine all the time, stoned out of his box. And upon reflection, that might have been a good laugh for a couple of days. But I just remember being like really, really optimistic. Like, and it was almost like, I don't know, like some weird endorphin thing, but in a different direction or something.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think I was just taking the approach where, I don't know, if I died, it's not gonna really affect me. It'll affect the others. So I won't know it.
I had a kidney stone about 5 weeks ago as well, which is painful, but like they say it's as bad as childbirth. And I've not given birth to a child, but I would imagine it can't be as painful as childbirth ever. But at one point when I was lying on the floor before I woke my wife up and was like, I think I need to go to hospital, I remember just being quite content. I thought, well, if I die now, and I'd be all right. I'd be like, I don't feel like I've really lost out on anything. You know, I feel like my kids are fairly well balanced. I mean, my wife's going to hate it, but it's like, it's a weird kind of reflection to have.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was the approach that I found myself in.
Just a big bartender questions, just because I used to work in a pub as well. Do you have a favourite drink to make people?
So I work in a brewery, so I'm just serving the beers that we make every week there. But yeah, we have our faves for sure. But we've probably done like, I don't know, 400 beers since I've been there. So
How long you been there?
8 years.
Right, right. Do you drink beer?
Yeah, it's kind of required.
just just so I can tell you what I'm talking about. We used to have a drink over here that I think they used to call Black Velvet, which is basically Guinness, but with lemonade in it. And that made it so fizzy that you had to sit there and like kind of stir it to get the bubbles out. And I remember that being the single most annoying drink to make.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. So I have a weird Guinness question.
Okay.
My first experience was with this Brit guy told me, oh, he would salt and pepper his Guinness.
Oh.
So since then, I've salt and peppered my Guinness. It tastes delicious, but I've not seen anyone else ever do it. And I feel like he was just like pranking me at this point. It's like 25 years ago.
Yeah, I've never heard of anybody do that. I'll be honest. I've never seen that. I mean, that might be super judicial. It might be you've unlocked a flavour there. To me, it's a bit like, you know, when people do tequila and then they do a shot of lime and a lick of salt. And I feel like that adds literally nothing to it.
Yeah, no, the lime's fine, but I don't know. Tequila's tasty, so
That's interesting though. Salt and pepper Guinness. I've never done that.
give it a try and let me know.
Yeah, I will. I'll get back to you on that one because that sounds like it could be. That could be a thing. It might be a thing. Like it might be such a niche thing that you've never known about it. I don't know. It's like having balsamic vinegar on strawberries. That's supposed to be amazing. It might be one of those flavor combos. It does remind me once though. I told my wife once that we used to live near a town called Buckingham, and I told my wife, who wasn't from around there, that the people in Buckingham called it Bunham. That was like the local name for it. And she believed me, and I didn't really, it was just an offhand joke that I didn't really give any thought. And then about 4 years later, she met someone from Buckingham and she went, how is life in Bunham? And they went, I'm sorry, what? And then she came home and just basically hit me on the head because it's like for years she'd not really realised. So I was like, oh, totally duped her. We're still together. Dear reader, I married her.
Yeah, you've been married.
How long have we been married?
Oh, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, hang on. It's my daughter plus 6 months. So it's 8.5 years. Oh, yeah, it'll be like nine years in December. God, that's a surprise. Sometimes I don't think we entirely realise we're in a marriage together. We've not ever really taken it that seriously. How long have you been married?
I had
No.
my
You've been married a long time, right?
19 last month, a
You
couple
met
weeks
your
ago.
wife in Ohio. Nice. How old were you when you got married to her? Or when you met her?
I met her, I was 22, married at 26. I'm 45. So
Mm. And why did you move to Canada?
she's from Canada. Um, and yeah, like she runs a ceramics program. This little college called Sheridan College, but it's one of the best undergrad ceramic programs in North America. They
Awesome.
just produce so many high level like ceramic artists
Mm.
constantly year after. And she went there, and the job opened up, and she was able to, she got it.
Yeah.
So teaching at her alma mater and with a lot of old friends and all her colleagues, were old artists she's known for 30 years. So
It does sound nice. Yeah, it does sound nice. My ex-wife's mother, let's call her my ex-mother-in-law. She was from Aurelia, which isn't really that far from you guys, I don't think. Maybe an hour north of Toronto or something like that. And she was very nice Canadian people. I am quite envious of you being up there because you're a very nice person as well. Seem to fit in. Just got to learn to say a boot, and they'll probably accept you as one of their own eventually.
eventually they'd get me.
Hey, Fuzzy, thanks for having a NeedleXChange with me, man.
Yeah, thank you.